Post-nups don't work. It's called prenup or nothing.
All right, we got about a minute left. We're going to talk to Stenberg, Donald, about Walmart, and I just Stenberg put it in context for me here. He goes, every single business that is operated down in Mexico, if you want to operate there, that's the way it's done.
It's funny. Walmart de Mexico used to be called Herrera or Cifra. And it was a sister company of my original employer, Jewel of Chicago, one of the most ethical companies.
Yeah.
When Jewel took a minority interest in them, they were very upfront and said, look, we have to pay to get sites. There was no disputing it. Jewel was a minority investor.
Everybody else is paying.
Everybody else, we have to do it.
So this is how business is done in emerging markets.
That's how business is done there.
Then why the hoopla? Because we need to
get rid. Donald, what do we do? Get rid of the law?
If you want
Look, I know a lot about
Mexico,
and Mexico's a mess, and this country is absolutely crazy. They prosecute people for going over to China and Mexico and other countries and getting business and creating jobs in this country because we do make some product that goes out. But I see them prosecuting all the time. Let Mexico or let China or let these other countries prosecute. What are we prosecuting people to keep China honest? Now, every other country goes into these places, and they do what they have to do. It's a horrible law, and it should be changed. I mean, we're like the policemen for the world. It's ridiculous.
Donald is right. And by the way, if for those do-gooders who say this stuff shouldn't happen, disclose it. Make people put in their proxy that we spent $227 million bribing foreign or payments to foreign officials.
So it's all out there. I lived in Asia for many years, and they would set aside a certain amount of money to grease the
You don't think it becomes a slippery slope?
No, it's there already. The slope is there. You either do business or you don't. And to hold the American companies accountable, who then try to get around it by hiring all kinds of fancy lawyers who then pay
But isn't that the
middlemen,
problem? Everyone's trying to get around it as opposed to trying to actually just live by the law?
You can't. Well, you can live by the law. You just won't do business in Mexico or China or India, a lot of other places.
You couldn't compete with the local players.
You'll do business nowhere. And to think that we prosecute these people, let China. By the way, China would have a great gripe, and Mexico and lots of other countries would have a great gripe. But to think that we prosecute these people for bringing business is just. And by the way, Andrew, you know, the sad part, every other country in the world is doing it. We're not allowed to. So it puts us at a huge disadvantage. And let them clean up their own act. We shouldn't be cleaning up the act for them.
And as the development, as jobs come with Walmart, as cheap goods come with Walmart, all the things that suddenly the country gets lifted up from.
I think we're supposed to have the moral high ground on this, though. I think that's part of leading, and maybe it's policing or leading the world in terms of what. Isn't that what this is all about?
Andrew, we don't lead the world anymore. We're not leading the world anymore.
We can try to lead the world.
It's things like this that cause us not to be able to lead the world. The world is laughing at us.
On this subject. This subject we can try to lead, but nobody's going to follow. Is the problem.
It's almost like, you know, people criticize the Obama campaign now for taking PAC money. You can be a goody two-shoes and not take any PAC money, and then you don't get elected, and then you don't even get to do any of the things that you wanted to do. I mean, if you take the moral high ground and you don't even end up in office, where does that get you? That's why, you know, people would criticize Obama for
But then
maybe...
the suggestion is that every single major Fortune 50, 100 company is basically bribing everybody around the world. That's how we became global leaders. Is that the argument?
I don't think it's quite that far. But if you're in a business where you're subject to a lot of local regulation, and certainly in retailing with building permits and zoning permits, you're right there on the ground floor. I don't think it can be done in a lot of these countries.
How do you feel about that? Okay, I get when an individual is acting on their own down in Mexico. I get when that happens. My question is, what happens when it gets to the board level?
So you just want a wink and a nod, though?
Do you want a wink and a nod from the top?
Would you feel better if it was a wink and don't tell me what you're doing?
I'm asking the question. I don't know the answer.
I feel terrible for the Walmart board of directors because they're in an impossible position. They're trying to, they're caught between a law that's not enforceable and trying to grow a business, and I think it's a horrible place to be.
Do you think it's getting better as these so-called emerging markets gradually become, you know, much more emerged, nearly developed markets? Do you think it's getting better?
I had the opportunity to talk to the leading retailer in India, and I asked him, gee, you know, how's it work over there? He goes, we don't pay the big stuff. These guys, these governors, they want millions. We won't do that. I said, what about the local level zoning? So, of course, you couldn't get anything done without that. So I don't think places like India change one bit.
And then they get prosecuted in the United States.
Well, they can't list on the American Stock Exchange for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, there is one answer. Go to your room, close the door, go to sleep, and don't do any deals, because that's the only way. The only way you're going to do it is the other way. And you know what? It's fine for India to prosecute, but for this country to prosecute because something took place in India is outrageous.
All right, good. This is, this is cutting edge, Andrew. I mean, I was kind of a lone.
You were alone,
before,
and Donald's now joined you, and Tom has joined you. I still have mixed feelings about this. More than mixed feelings about it.
You're goody. What do you call them? Goody,
I'm not
goody?
trying to be
two shoes, sir.
Goody, goody two shoes. All right, coming up.